You awaken, crash landed on an alien planet with little more than a few simple hand-fed machines and your wits. As you start placing the first machines and refining ores, you slowly start getting into the swing of things. Soon, your factory will outgrow the safety of the starting area, and as you set your eyes on resources situated deep in uncharted territory, you realize the factory must grow. This is Factorio. Factorio is quite simple. It's top-down, you can walk alongside the X and Y axis, you can craft and build things. But its ultimate goal is to do none of these things. As you automate more and more tasks and expand your factory, you ultimately end up with only more work to be done. The explicit Ludus rule the game gives you is to build a rocket to escape the planet you find yourself stranded on. But this is hardly ever the winning condition a player seeks. Just in real life, rapid industrialization is a goal in itself, and nothing is ever enough.
Factorio is a very addictive game. The gameplay loop targets our innate pleasure in personal growth through improvement and mastery. It takes this from many games that came before, but subverts the convention by making it an internal process rather than an external one. For example, take a game like Osu. Osu gives feedback to the player through lots of visual cues, visualizing your performance while playing. After finishing a level, a score is given which shows exactly what you did wrong. This feedback loop motivates players to reflect, try again, and aim for a better score. Many games follow these principles. Think the time trial elements of any racing game, or the score systems in roguelikes that push players to optimize each run. Factorio takes a different approach. Instead of flashing high scores or time-driven goals, it nudges players to improve through self-reflection and, more often than not, frustration. The game's interwoven mechanisms combined with its scaling nature make it so small mistakes in one part of the factory can have great unforeseen influence on the productivity of the rest of the base. By this design, you are encouraged to iterate and refine even the smallest mechanisms of your factory. In doing so, Factorio forces the player to focus on long-term gratification of a smooth running base instead of a quick time save here and there.
Another way Factorio diverges from the status quo is its use of sounds, or better yet, its lack thereof. In previously mentioned gameplay experiences, a big emphasis is put on oral feedback given to the player. Take for example SSX, a snowboarding game from the early 2000s that notifies the player on how he's doing through non-diegetic sounds in the form of both abstract sound cues and a disembodied voice that narrates your best moves. As if the voice in the machine is cheering you on. The sounds here work to encourage the player to keep chaining combos in order to keep getting this positive feedback. Silence here would be an indication of a subpar performance. When going back to Factorio, we again see how the game flips most common conventions. The game has minimal interrupting sounds, with the only form of oral feedback coming by way of the continuous looping audio of the machines as they work, each having unique, distinguishable sounds. This symphony of machines fills your whole screen, in the process making an harmonic hum that becomes synonymous with productivity. The sounds these machines make are dependent on power input and speed, both controlled by you the player. The subtle melody your factory emits evokes something not unlike a trance. In this state, players can go on for hours without realizing it, only being pulled back into reality when the factory ceases production, breaking the trance. But this is a rare occurrence. Again, keeping to the gameplay experience of emphasizing internal motivation and experimentation over external and direct feedback.
In the end, Factorio doesn't need high scores or achievements. The factory is the reward. Watching it all run smoothly, knowing you built this, optimized it, perfected it, that's more fulfilling than any leaderboard. But even after achieving the victory screen, the question on a player's mind isn't, did I win? It's, how can I do better? And so, you start again. A new design, a new layout, a new level of efficiency. Because in Factorio, Perfection isn't a goal, it's a process. The game builds upon the natural human desire of personal growth and the pleasure it brings, to facilitate a unique gameplay experience completely ran on the intrinsic motivation of the player. In doing so, breaking from the conventions of iterative games focused on optimization and mastery, and instead offering an open-ended challenge where you decide what progress looks like. The game refuses to force you into new challenges or telling you good from bad. In the end, you decide what step to take next and make it work however you see fit. There's no judgment, just you and an ever-growing factory.